Hi, I'm Patty.
I'm Kim Michelle.
And I'm Jill. Welcome to our podcast. It's a great day to talk.
Because honestly, what day isn't a great day to talk?
So join us in our conversation.
A Great Day to Talk is brought to you by St. George Design, offering complete website design, social media management, search engine optimization, Google and Facebook ad management, and many other digital and print marketing services. stgeorgedesign.com. And by Richardson Brothers Custom Homes, third-generation builders who have been building custom homes in southern Utah for over 25 years. They will take your dream home from concept to completion. Contact richardsonbrothers.com.
Hi, thank you for joining us, and thank you, St. George Design and Richardson Homes, for sponsoring our podcast. We are having a blast recording our conversations and hope you enjoy listening. We want you to sponsor our podcast so we can keep our discussions going. So if you would like to be a proud sponsor of A Great Day to Talk, please contact me, Patty, at agreatdaytotalk.com.
That is Patty
at agreatdaytotalk.com.
Hi, I'm Kim Michelle, and we are welcoming you to A Great Day to Talk. I have with me my two great friends, Patty on my right. Say hi, Patty.
Hi, Patty.
And Jill on my left.
Hello, I'm Jill.
And we have come together to do our podcast because we have been friends for a very long time. And we enjoy each other's company so much that we love to get together and talk about the things that interest us. And sometimes that's very important social event topics that are going on. Sometimes it's great books. Sometimes it's what's going on in our personal lives. Together we have over 80 years of marriage. Is that right? 40? Yeah,
30.
80. 80 years of marriage.
It's over 90 because you're 22.
23.
40, 30, 23. So that's
Almost a century.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of years of marriage.
A lot.
And,
a lot
we
of
have
years.
Children and grandchildren. And so we wanted to get together, have these conversations, and then invite you to join us into the conversation as well. So we appreciate all of your responses. We appreciate those of you who are following us on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the places that you can pick up a
Spotify.
podcast. Yep, Apple, all of those places. So thank you for joining us today. We sent out a post earlier today about this specific podcast. We were so excited because today is the first time we were actually having a guest on our podcast for the very first time. So we were really looking at all the technology, which is obviously the strength of each and every one of us.
Which is why we have Sean, our
Thank
amazing
you, Sean.
producer.
Thank you.
Yeah, in terms of how do we bring somebody in, and are they going to be able to see them if we're on visual, and can we see them? Can they see us? All of that kind of great stuff.
The basic question.
Yeah, the basic questions.
How does a phone work?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did ask that question. And so anyway, we were really excited about that, and also very excited about the topic which we were discussing around forgiveness, and not just forgiveness in its general sense, but also forgiveness as it relates to self-forgiveness, because that's probably the cornerstone to all of it in the big scheme of things. And so it wasn't really probably an hour, maybe an hour and a half after that posting went out to invite all of you to make sure that you got on the podcast today, that I got a little message that said, hey, from our special guest who's going to be amazing, and we can't wait for her to come and join our podcast, because you won't want to miss that when that happens. But guess what? It's not going to be tonight.
Which is fine because we're very flexible people.
Yes, we are.
And we always
the cornerstone
operate
through all of that.
Yeah, a possibility.
Possibility, yes,
right?
Thank you.
And so we had the opportunity in that moment to be in the conversation around, okay, so what do we choose to do when things don't look the way that you think they're going to look? So we had some options. We could pretend like she was still here, and we could ask Sean, hey, Sean, could you just pretend like you're her? Like, do you have a female voice that you could just pretend that we could say, hey, what do you think about forgiveness?
Forgiveness is great. Oh, by the way, I'm transitioning.
Yeah, see, we could have totally gone away with that. So we thought about that. We could just pretend that nothing changed and just go on as if everything was exactly the same. We could have done the topic anyway and just talked about forgiveness. We've all been in the place, I'm sure, where we've had the opportunity to either forgive someone or I guarantee,
forgiven.
Yes, that we've been in the place where we have sought forgiveness from someone else. We could have sought out another guest to come on. It would have been kind of short notice because by the time I got with these beautiful young ladies tonight, it was probably, yes, I use that word literally. I mean, figuratively. I mean, liberally. For them, it was probably 4:15 by the time we had the conversation about it. We could have just canceled the podcast and said, hey, we're not going to do it tonight. We'll just wait until our guests can get here, and then we'll do the podcast. Or we could have just chosen to do what we chose to do, which was to say, okay, what do you do in life when life doesn't show up the way you thought it was going to?
Right. I throw a fit until I get my way.
And did that work? Is our guest here?
No.
Okay.
Turned out.
I get a
to
little
not work.
passive aggressive when that's how I show up when things don't turn out the way I think they should show up.
Yeah. And I tend to rant, and then eventually I'll move to solution. So that is our topic for our podcast today is, how do we choose to show up in the world when the world doesn't show up the way that we think it's supposed to?
And don't we get this opportunity to practice this on a pretty regular basis?
Oh my gosh, unfortunately, yes.
Because after all, things, at least for my type A personality and the way I have things planned out in my life, like I said last week, when I talk to myself, I call myself Self, AKA Jill, and I, how do I react? Do I even take moments to think about how I should react? Sometimes I do. And a lot of times I just react.
It would be so nice to be able to take that time and be conscious in the moment of our reaction.
I read last week, there was a book I was reading about taking the moment to pause.
Yeah.
And I thought, how in the heck do you do that when you have a teenager doing the teenager thing? And I don't know how to I get the opportunity to continue practicing how to take the pause and then react.
Yeah. Well, if we did know how to take that moment to take the pause, then what might that sound like? So if you are in that conversation with your teenager or with whatever that is, your coworker or whatever that is in the moment, and it feels like you're on a scale to 1 to 10, you're really getting close to a 10.
Right.
Then if we did know how to take that pause, that reflective moment, what might that sound or look like?
Well, Kim Michelle, one of the things that I have been reading, and actually one of my many books here, but this one that I've really started to really love, it's called The Daily Ohm, and it's inspirational thoughts for happy, healthy, and fulfilling day. And they're just these short little snippets about situations that help us in things like that. And one of them is the counting method. And count.
I'm going to count to 10.
I'm going to count to 10, or I'm going to count to 5. And
usually that was used as a threat on my kids.
well, right?
I'm going to count, and it's going to be to 3.
That's not to say that isn't something I did as well. I think this is more counting in my head, the voices in my head counting for me. But Brene Brown, in a podcast I also listened to this week, said that she does the 5 5s. I give all this credit to Brene Brown, but she was saying, I pause and I think, is this going to matter in 5 minutes? Is this going to matter in 5 days? Is this going to matter in 5 weeks, 5 months, or 5 years? She that's her counting process.
That's awesome.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's so powerful. And I think that is such sage wisdom and advice for any time, regardless of the situation, when life doesn't show up the way that you think it's supposed to, or like you had projected it out that it was going to,
Right.
is to take those 5s and do that. What do you say to the other person? Do you say, hey, I've got 5 things I need to walk through right here. So if you'll just pause for a moment, if you'll just stay right there for just a second while I walk through these, or how do we language that to the person we're in relationship with?
Or the situation that we're in.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of weeks ago, Patty, when you were talking about your youngest daughter, who I love, and she has a strategy that she uses at work. And she says, I'm just going to have to think about this. I'm going to get back to you on this.
Yeah.
And I have thought about that so many times since you mentioned that, you know, it's one of the ways that I could show up with my teenager or teenagers, depending on the day.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great way to show up. She shows up that way, and it just resonated with me. So I want to take a little shout out moment to her and say, thank you, Babs, for that, because that really stuck with me as far as how I can show up. So it's not like I have to sit and 5, 4, count it down.
I'm going to need to take a minute. I'm going to have to think about that, and then I'll get back to you.
Right.
And I think when it's said like that, it's easily respected.
Yeah.
Because what are they supposed to say? No, you can't take a minute. Well, okay, then the answer is no.
Right. Well, and that really would be
as a
legitimate
parent,
conversation with my youngest for sure.
Well,
for sure. Yeah.
If you don't want me to take a minute and think about this, then the,
the
answer is
answer
no.
at this moment is no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she's always been a good example of that. Both my kids have great boundaries, and I don't know where they got them. So,
Yeah.
I'm really happy for them that they are far ahead of the game.
They probably got them from me.
They probably did.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Kim Michelle, you
they
probably
got
did.
them
Yeah.
from Kim
Yeah.
You
Michelle.
I'm
probably
sure.
did
Yeah.
send those
Yeah.
to Patty's kids for sure. But
Genetically.
really though, there's a lot of ways that we show up when things don't work out. There's a lot of different ways that a lot of people show up when things don't work out the way I do, or I want, or someone else wants. What are some of the ways that you guys, Patty? What are some ways that you can remember?
Oh gosh, I don't do this very well because we always have an expectation. One of the things I thought is, as we were talking about this, we have to learn that we can't control everything and recognize things won't be like we expect, and that's why we try to control all the elements so it's exactly like we expect.
Yeah.
And even though we want to control all the elements so that it's like we expect, it still doesn't always turn out like we expect. Sometimes it turns out better.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that's awesome. And I love those experiences. Like, this is better than I've ever expected. This is wonderful. And also setting yourself up sometimes when you have expectations for others. And that's, I think, the trick is when we expect others to show up a certain way for us, we can only control ourselves. So we can't control others. So we have to let people be how they're going to be. And that can sometimes be super disappointing. So if I didn't control everything so it didn't manifest like I wanted, and something happened that I didn't like, how do I show up? Oftentimes I show up with disappointment and maybe even passive aggressive behavior, maybe some resentment. And most of the people who are around me know how I show up. I usually don't try to hide it, unfortunately, for those people who are around me. And honestly, most of the time I'm okay, but you're right. Like, is it going to matter in 5 minutes? I might blow off some steam, and then 5 minutes I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It doesn't even matter.
Right. Yeah.
And big picture type of experiences. You know, how do you look at the big picture?
Right. You know, one of the things that we talked about before, and we've talked about this a lot, is this idea of grace and the languaging around using grace. And Kim Michelle, you really have brought that language into our circle, because that's not something, I mean, a lot of people think of the word of grace as, maybe religious intonations, but for me, when I hear you say it, I think it in terms of you are showing grace in allowing those around you or me or whoever it is you accept who that person is in that moment and you show them grace. And I really want to thank you for that languaging, because that language is something that is really powerful. The word grace. Mm-hmm. How do I show up? It's always this, there's always this upper thought in my head. I need to remember to show up gracefully, meaning accepting and loving and letting that person be who they are and what they need to be in that moment.
In an unconditional way.
In a completely unconditional way.
Absolutely, I need to give more grace to others for being exactly who they are, because they're perfect exactly how they are, because that's how they are.
Because it is what it is.
Yeah. It's not human doings, it's human beings, and it's okay to be, and we need to show up with grace in that regard. And I love that. Yeah. You mentioned that, Jill. Thank you.
Yeah, because that's what I would hope from them.
Right.
Is that they could recognize me and my frailties and understand that the thing that I probably need most in that moment is that grace from them. And that is why I would want to give it to that person as well, right?
I have received grace even just this weekend, where I maybe didn't show up like I wanted to for various reasons, and was given grace because people were patient with me, because they knew I was left my meds at home.
Yeah. Well, don't you think that's sometimes why life shows up differently than how we thought or expected it to, was to give us the opportunity to be in the practice of grace.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Religious or not. I mean, if someone learned grace through a religious means, great, give grace.
Yeah, whatever that looks like.
Whatever
for
it
you,
looks
right?
like.
It's not. That's
just
we're not
a
here
new-
to judge.
But
that.
it's a new word for me. It's absolutely a new word for me.
That's exactly what I'm saying, is that it's a new word for me, and it was really something that stuck out as, we're all doing the best we can, including myself, Jill. I am doing the best I can. Well, sometimes I'm not doing the best I can, but I try.
At that moment, you
At
might
that
be.
moment,
At that very
yeah.
moment.
But I want to be in that moment for those that need it, and those that I also need grace from as well.
And here's the wonderful thing about grace, is if I choose to give it to someone, even if they're not showing up in the best place they know to show, right? Let's just say that that's possibly true. When I choose to extend grace to them, I'm showing up in the best place I know to show up. So it doesn't even matter what they're choosing.
Right.
That's the best place I know
Right.
to be in that moment. And so in that space, I'm in my greatest, highest self in
'Cause you're
that
showing
moment.
up.
Yes,
You
exactly.
That's how
Always.
you show up. You always show up. That
Always
way.
show up with grace.
Well,
And that what an
Michelle always
example
does.
she has been. And so it goes really back to what you said, is what are our coping strategies when things don't work out like we expected or thought they would, or they don't look like
How we thought?
how I thought this was going to be like this. And number one, how do we show up with grace in that moment?
I think that's what today was about. I'm sorry, Joe.
No, you keep going.
Because when I got the communication today, I mean, we've had planning meetings about this call. We've met with Sean. We've done a lot of things to prepare for this. In that moment, all it was about was, how are you,
Yes.
the person who was going to be on the call?
Right.
Are you okay? Are you okay? You take care of you.
Yes,
This is all
absolutely.
going to be good.
Yep.
Right? This is all going to be good. And when you're good, we can't wait to have you here.
Yep.
Because that's how we're going to create a space for it all to be even better than we could have imagined when that time comes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I know we all, when things don't show up like we want them to, that's very relative, because it's relative to the person. And so it doesn't matter how small or huge that may feel. And we've all had experiences where you're going on with your life and then things change and you were like, this isn't how I expected this to be.
This isn't how I expected it at all.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean we shouldn't have expectations, because that's what gives us hope and goals.
That's right.
And courage and belief and determination and motivation, is because we want things to be a certain way. But knowing that they aren't always going to be that way is how we grow. And through that, whether it's grace or we recognize the growing opportunity, and it may not be that day, because that day we may be angry.
Oh gosh.
Or those several days we may be angry.
The years.
Or years.
Yeah. There was a very significant time in my life where when I was living in New York and was in the process of getting divorced, and my brother stepped in, and how he showed up for me in that time period of my life, saying, when are you coming home? And I said, well, I'm fine. I'm staying here. I don't know if you didn't get the memo, but I'm staying here. I'm going to stay here in New York, and I've got my very close-knit family right here, and I'm good. And he said, no, when are you coming home? And he showed up in a big way at a time in my life that things weren't going the way that I had expected them to go. And boy, did he change the entire trajectory of my life by stepping in like that.
With grace.
With grace.
Because he called you without any judgment of what had happened or
Nope.
any expectations of his own.
It was a call that I had no idea was coming. I had no idea was even a thought in the universe. And he called, and in that one telephone call changed the entire trajectory of my life. And now I'm here. I'm here with my loves. I'm here with my...
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Todd. With my sweet husband and my crazy teenagers and my adorable life that I am so grateful for. That doesn't mean that we haven't had struggles. I mean, we live normal human lives, right? But
wait, I don't. You have struggles?
Don't tell
you
anybody.
don't. You don't.
No,
I don't.
Right.
Just you.
Just Jill.
That's
okay.
on
It's on our text.
email stream.
Yeah.
Text stream.
Right.
Okay,
that
Grandma.
one that you guys have.
Yeah, totally.
It's on the Morse code you send me.
SOS. But truly, though, how did he show up for me? He showed up in a way that he didn't have to. He showed up in a way that said, I care, I love you, and it has to change, and I'm gonna support you in that. And he did just that. And so he showed a huge amount of grace as far as my life is concerned.
And I'm going to acknowledge you as well, Jill, though, because I'm going to guess other people had probably entertained that question with you before about coming.
Oh, gosh.
And at some level, you had to be willing to give a second thought to, this is how I think it's supposed to look. And you had to be willing to hear him in a way that maybe you didn't hear someone else having that conversation with you.
I had so many conversations with so many friends and family, and they all said, when are you coming home? And I was not going to come home. And I did. I had like it was an extended period of time when I had made my decision. I was going to stay there. And so to hear my brother say that truly did, like, it just
resonated.
Yeah, it resonated. Yeah. It was almost like someone put the right key into the lock and turned the lock.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If my brother thinks I should come home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful. That's what a guy that can
and to go along with that is like, I was there and my life did not show up the way that I had planned it to show up. However, I got so much out
It
of my
showed up
time.
better.
Yeah, it showed. And I was able to bring my loves that I had created in New York, my very, very special people there.
Yes.
And so there it goes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, Todd,
So-
you showed me grace very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So when things don't show up like we want them to, sometimes we look very narrowly at it, and we don't look at what the opportunities
Right.
are going to come from
Yeah.
this situation that may be greater.
Yeah, and it wasn't until years later
Right.
Yeah.
when I first met my boyfriend
With the good legs
with
at
the
Harmon's.
awesome legs at Harmon's. Yes. So when you're at Harmon's and you're in the produce section, be careful of what you're actually picking out because
It might be
it might be a husband.
Honey, I'm not picking out anything in the aisles.
Produce
at
section.
Well, I'm
Harmon's.
actually going to squeeze everything in the produce section
Well,
first.
that's nothing new,
I'm gonna
Patty.
I'm going
You've
to
been
pick it up.
banned.
I'm going to smell it, and then I'm going to squeeze it, and then I'm going to, if I don't like it, I'm going to put it back.
You have to make sure though that it's actually something that you want to have around for a really long time.
Right, because sometimes people don't like it when you squeeze them in the produce. And smelling, though.
Patty, do you see me looking
Squeezing
at
might
you?
be fine, but smelling, sometimes people, it's frowned upon. I am always
You
amazed.
don't get it, do you?
No, I'm
it
like,
doesn't
what?
look the way you think it's supposed to look or smell.
I'm picking out some fruits.
I'm just making
You
sure
look
everything
fruity.
is ripe. Is everything ripe here?
Is it right? And also, sometimes there's a few
Poor Sean.
vegetables
Poor Sean.
walking around. You know,
Yeah.
dazed vegetables. I'm in the produce aisle. I'm a
Yeah.
vegetable.
I'm
I'm like,
confused.
here, I'll
Daisy
tell you.
confused.
let me smell you. Nope, you're right. Cannot buy you.
Okay,
Get
but
out.
wait a minute. This particular specific person was picking out broccoli and potatoes.
Oh,
So, you know, there's
Yeah.
no squeezing or
smelling.
smelling.
I
You
of
ever
that.
smelt a potato?
Or
yeah,
some
I think
broccoli?
Patty could have found a way. I do. I have
Well,
faith in her.
sometimes I hold that broccoli.
Okay, never mind. Never mind.
Were they red potatoes or Idaho
They were
potatoes?
actually
They
red
were
potatoes.
golden
They were red.
Yukons.
Golden Yukon potatoes. Well,
Yeah.
No, they were red
I do
potatoes.
like a small round red potato.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy. Okay, well, here's the thing. This is how corny. How did we show
Corny,
up for our wedding?
corny.
Get it? Oh, corn on the cob.
Oh.
Thank you,
I
Kim
do
Michelle.
like
You're
corn.
welcome. You're
Who
welcome.
If you buy corn on the cob, side note, if you buy corn on the cob without pulling down a little bit to see what's in there, you're
does
not my
that?
friend. You're not my
No,
friend.
because there might be worms in there.
Yeah.
I've
I'm
already
glad I
learned that
do
in my
because
life.
now we can
now we're
stay
friends. But who are those people that just pick a piece of corn and throw it in without checking it?
Sean, our
Sean.
producer,
Sean,
is
You're
raising
not our
his hand.
friends, Sean.
Sean, you're
What's your
our
deal?
friend. You're gonna have to change.
No, you have to leave the stock on
granary.
there. Yeah.
No, you
'Cause
just
that's
pull it
how you
down.
cook it.
But you have to pit. You have to
You
look.
have to pull it down. Like, what
No,
if
no,
there's
no, no.
like
You
little
can put it
teeny
back up.
Then you cut that part of the corn off.
No.
Oh.
Because
Not if there's
you need the
worms in it.
greens on there so that it
Do you
cooks
barbecue
well.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
okay,
yummy.
because you can just retie those up at the
you
top.
You don't even
with
have
twine.
to.
That
You just
requires
close it.
tie.
There you go. Tie.
I
That's
don't
too much
know.
work.
I don't know the kind of people that do that, but
How
they
does
are
Sean
not
show
my
up for
kind
his
of
corn?
people. Sean just trusts corn. I am not that trustworthy. Sean just goes to the produce aisle. I'm going to trust the hell out of this corn. I'm just going to throw it in my bag haphazardly, not even checking. I don't know.
So we know that Sean shows up at the grocery store with trust.
We're going to do a trust circle, and I'm going to be
And I'm
fall on
gonna
the floor.
say to Sean, someday you're gonna go to Harmon's or whatever. No, probably not Harmon's
Albertsons.
because they might be
Well-
our next sponsor. So just some
Okay,
store
I'm only allowed
somewhere.
at Smith's because at Harmon's I was squeezing, I was touching, I was
Oh,
smelling. They said no
you
more.
were.
Okay, all right. You're
That
gonna
reminds
go.
me of a song by Journey.
Yeah, exactly.
I might sing.
Yeah, you're gonna go to a store and you're gonna pick up your corn on the cob and you're gonna go home and you're gonna think you're gonna have an amazing barbecue with corn on the cob and you're gonna take your first and you're gonna pull the husk down and it's gonna be all icky and it's
Big
not
worm.
gonna
You're
look
gonna be like,
the way you think it's
I
supposed
should have
to
listened
look.
to A Great Day to Talk.
The likelihood of corn being bad is so small compared
no.
to squishy tomatoes
Oh,
and
yeah.
brown bananas.
No.
Well, see, that's what I was picking out in the produce section were the bananas.
yeah.
So
Bananas have a day shelf
Your
life.
bananas met his broccoli.
my bananas.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so anyway, as it turns out,
His banana met your broccoli. That's not right.
No, that's not right, Patty. We're going to be
Well,
editing this.
We're clearly showing up in our best selves right now.
I'm going to need to show up with some grace.
that is one of the things that you do want to embrace when life doesn't show up the way that you think it is supposed to, or that it should.
Yes.
Is to step into your humor.
Well,
Find someone that you can laugh with. If you can't laugh at yourself, then find somebody who's willing to laugh at you, that you won't hurt in the process, and find a way to find some joy and some laughter, because I'm telling you, it's really hard to stay in your stuff and to stay stuck in that resistance and in that angry place when you're really just having a belly laugh. It's really hard to stay there. So if you are stuck and you know you're stuck, and you know you're in the space of, I am not clear on this energy around, it should not look this way, then honestly, get with your girlfriends and get with whoever that will be totally, whether it's appropriate or inappropriate, it does not matter. If it gives you a good belly laugh, go and have that, because it will serve you.
It will, along with flexibility. I think flexibility is another way.
You mean go with the flow kind of flexibility.
That is, yes, absolutely. When you need to figure out a way to show up, if you've got a little bit of flexibility and you can laugh at yourself, or you can laugh at least the produce section at Harmon's, then I think that is half of the battle in the moment.
Well, honestly, I struggle with people who can't laugh at themselves, because that means... And I've been
like
there.
Me?
I've been there. No, you can. But I've been there where I didn't recognize something about me, and someone points it out, and you're like, yeah, you're right. That is pretty funny or bad about me. Right. But so you can laugh about it. And laughing at yourself, it creates a space for everyone to just relax.
And breathe.
Like, okay, we're all okay.
Yep.
And honestly, sometimes when life doesn't show up like you want it, the only thing you could, we can't laugh about this, then I can't control this. I just have to, the only thing we can do is laugh about it, because what else is there to do?
Right.
Yeah.
And why Waller?
I love that word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
Wallow?
Wallow.
But we say Waller.
Waller, I think
we
Southern,
say Waller
Southern. So
on our text.
Waller in our...
But Waller
talking
is
about
also very... We're talking about her, meaning Jill.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Just in case you're wondering.
Kim, Michelle, and I have a private conversation, and we only text about Jill's flaws.
And then she laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for that laugh, you guys.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
And thank you for talking and sharing about how we all show up, and just having this conversation around, the humanness of when things change and we don't have control.
Just remember, when life doesn't show up that way, there's a great lesson. There's a great opportunity for you. And if you look for what is the opportunity in this moment, which I know is not always easy, and if you need a rant, if you need to be angry about it, then set a timer and give yourself 8 minutes and say to whoever you're going to rant to, I don't need you to fix it. I don't need you to solve it. I just need you to sit right there and let me just go off for the next 8 minutes. But once that 8 minutes is...
You're done.
You're done.
Yep.
You're done.
Is that how you do it, Kim
Find
Michelle?
a way.
Is that how you do it with Scott?
Yeah, except I have
that.
to be clear with him, because he's an amazing coach. And if I'm not clear with him about, one, I'm not ready to laugh yet.
Yeah.
Because then he's very funny. And so if he starts the laughter and I'm not ready to laugh yet, then, he's really in trouble now.
Right.
And my rant is now all about him. So I
just started the timer again.
Yeah, I get to set him up to win, right?
Yeah.
So I get to be clear with him. Listen, I'm going to let myself just be totally irresponsible right now in my language. I'm not going to come from responsible. I'm going to totally go victim to the circumstance. I don't need you to coach me. I don't need to create a solution around it. I don't need you to make me laugh. I just need you to be there for me right now.
Right.
And then as soon as this timer goes off, then we're going to be done with it, and we're going to move to solution, and you're going to be my partner in this, and we're going to figure it out. And then we're going to have a really good laugh about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
Love it, love it, love
Yeah,
it.
I do my kids and my friends and my friends, all my friends and my family do.
You mean your real friends?
My real friends,
Right.
all my real friends.
Yeah.
They do chide me a little bit about how I like to control things, so things look like I expect. And even this weekend, I had made dinner, and nobody wanted to take the food outside of the trailer to dish up outside. They wanted to dish up inside, but it was a little tight space, and I'm like, okay, fine. And then my kids were like, no, you're so good at dishing up. You should dish up for us because you're just so good at it. I'm like, I hate you guys. So I said, all right, you guys, this is what we're going to do. I set it all out. I'm like, okay, you're going to walk down this way. You're going to dish up from this way. And then you're going to turn around. And then you're going to go around this side and dish up on this side. My friend gets to the corner and she's like, where am I supposed to go from here? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst. I get it.
That's so
and you
funny.
have to laugh at yourself about things that you're trying to control for other adults. You can't.
It's not supposed to be that way, especially in a trailer.
Yep. And Joseph, especially in a trailer. And Joseph Campbell said, this was such a powerful quote. He said, you must be willing to let go of the life we planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us.
I love that.
And I just love it so much. And you're so right. The people around us know our patterns as much as anybody else.
Sure.
So they'll play to them because they get something out of it. So it's our responsibility to say, oh no, I know that game. So I'm okay if you guys just want to all dig in. I'm okay if it's a mess. But then you really do have to be okay with it, Patty.
Right. Yeah, no.
Patty with a Y.
Patty with the Y.
Okay.
Patty at agreatdatatalk.com. If you would like to sponsor our podcast so you could keep listening to this, I imagine we just lost some followers.
Well, then you can contact Kim Michelle at A Great Data Talk.
That's Kim-Michelle.
You guys are awesome.
What's
gonna be the gentle nudge?
Gentle nudge.
Gosh. If you haven't started reading our book, we'll be talking about our book next week.
Yeah.
And we wanted to point out that in the book, the Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. Her friend Raymond shows up for Eleanor with so much grace.
Yeah.
Grace that Eleanor has never experienced and doesn't even know what is happening.
Yes.
She doesn't understand it. And that kind of grace
is what I strive to have.
is
So beautiful.
Exactly. It is.
Absolutely.
And I even said, we talked about that, I think when we first introduced the book, is I don't know if I would have shown up like Raymond. And that makes me sad to think maybe I wouldn't do that. And yes, so my nudge for me and for anyone listening is to show up for others and yourself with more grace
Yeah, that's
and
beautiful.
kindness.
That's beautiful, Patty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My nudge for this week is to look for that space that life didn't show up the way you thought it was going to, and it won't be hard to find. You'll have
Traffic.
probably as soon as we're off this, and maybe even right now, before we're off, you're already getting an opportunity to experience that. And in that moment, pause for a moment, and then just be in the question, what is the opportunity that is in this moment? What really is the opportunity in this not looking the way that I thought it was going to look?
Right. My gentle nudge is one of the lessons that I learned during my experience of my divorce during that period of time is that the only consistency in life is inconsistency, and to be okay with that. And to add to that, I want to throw in again Brene Brown's 5, which is, will it matter in 5 minutes? Will it matter in 5 days, 5 months, 5 years,
5 weeks.
5 weeks, 5 years? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm going to continue to keep in my mind and keep practicing. So
Great.
thank you.
I also want to take this tiny moment to thank all of the people in my life that have shown up for me with grace. I know I'm not easy all the time, and I have a lot of people who show up for me in acceptance and kindness and love.
That's very sweet, Patty.
And I appreciate that.
Your people are lucky to have you.
Yeah.
Well,
We're all pretty
you
lucky.
too show up a lot for me with grace.
Well, we love you. It's easy
Yep,
to do that.
we do.
Okay, Blue
Blue
Bowl.
Bowl. Blue Bowl. Okay, so mine is what inspired me this week. So I have to say, this is going to surprise everyone. I'm sure the Utah Jazz inspired me this week. I am so excited to see them finish where they finished and to finish and to play as such a team. I'm so excited, and I hope that pays off for them, right? Because it's important, I think, for everyone to know that you've got your all-stars out there. If you're not a Utah Jazz fan, I'm sorry, but
Michelle, you're so funny.
you know, they play as a team, they work as a team, they inspire as a team, and that inspires me. And one of the reasons I love them so much is because we love them as a family. So it gives us another dialogue together. So go Jazz.
Go Jazz.
Yay.
Okay, go
ahead.
Patricia.
You go.
You go.
You go.
No, you go.
You go.
Okay, Patty, you're going.
Fine. Success this week. That's tricky.
You made it through the week.
I did make it through
You
the
had a
weekend.
lot, actually.
Yes, you did.
You really did.
Well, thank you for knowing that. And I had a weekend of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which was awesome with my family. It was wonderful. It was better than expected.
Fantastic.
I had a great weekend, and it wasn't hard for me to experience most of the things, except for a little bit. I left my meds at home and got a little teary Saturday night and Sunday, and for the most part, my people showed up with grace and patience for me, and made
That's
it 10
beautiful.
days with my habit.
You are amazing. You are my rock star, Patricia, aka Patty.
Had a great day to talk.
What a great day to talk. Okay, mine is what was my joyfulness this week?
Ooh, that's so nice.
So my joyfulness this week was again getting up and going to my stupid exercise.
It's not stupid. It's not stupid at all. It's
No.
amazing.
Again, yes, it is a huge accomplishment for me. It's like someone has invaded me, and I'm not going to say I am doing
haven't
this all
been
the time.
invaded in a long time.
I haven't been. I'm not going to say that this is like the new me or anything like that. I'm just accepting it as this is what happened today and this is what happened the other day. And driving home, I felt so good. And so that was really joyful for me.
That is
Yes,
amazing.
absolutely.
Honestly,
Anybody
I'm
that
so
knows me-
happy for
Anybody
you.
that knows me knows that that is not a thing
Yeah.
at all.
It-
So
Yeah.
Maybe it hasn't always been a thing.
it hasn't
Yeah.
always been a thing. It hasn't been a
Maybe
thing for a long
becoming
time.
a thing.
Well, but I'm not going to put that pressure on myself.
Now, for today.
Yes, for
Became
today
a
it
thing
is.
Today.
Today,
That's it.
yeah.
Yep.
And I find that if I don't put pressure on myself and if I show up with grace for myself,
Yes.
then I seem to do a little bit better.
I love that.
without the
Congratulations.
pressure.
That's
Thanks.
awesome.
Thanks, friend.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to having you here next week, and then we'll let you know when we're going to be back with our special guest.
Yay!
Talking about forgiveness and self-forgiveness. Until then, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to It's a Great Day to Talk.
Be sure to follow and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform.
And until next week,
Get out there and talk.
This has been a production from a podcast studio.